Lesson 10, Inner Monologues. In this lesson, we're going to explore how to write inner monologues that reflect your reader's thoughts, sometimes before they've even finished thinking them. This technique makes your copy feel more personal, relatable, and disarmingly accurate. And when someone feels like you understand them better than they understand themselves, that's where the magic happens. This lesson is literally all about reading your prospect's mind and then casting their exact thoughts into the copy that you've written at the exact moment they're thinking them. And when you do that, bloody hell, it works. Strong stuff. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand how inner monologues create emotional connection and build trust. Predict and reflect the reader's thoughts and feelings in your copy. Practice writing relatable internal dialogue based on empathy and research. Use inner monologues to anticipate objections and disarm resistance, and make your copy feel personal, conversational, and impossible to ignore. So what actually are inner monologues in copywriting? An inner monologue is when your copy mirrors what the reader is already thinking, or what they didn't even realize they were thinking until you put it into words. These subtle voice in their head moments create intimacy and make your writing feel like a one-on-one conversation, not a broadcast. So, example, you've probably seen 5 other people promising this exact same thing. Reader thinks, yeah, I actually have. It's not about mind reading, it's about understanding your audience deeply enough that your words feel eerily accurate and comforting. Pro tip, if your reader feels seen, they'll start trusting you. And trust sells better than hype ever will. So, an email can't have a conversation. Can't do it. Simple as that. You're sending a message to someone and they don't have the chance to respond. And so when you use inner monologues to predict what they are thinking and what their response would be to specific things that you say, then when you put that on paper, it makes the email feel like a conversation and it deeply engages the reader, especially if you get it right, what they're thinking. It's impossible to get it right 100% of the time because we're not mind readers, but with good market research, you can get pretty damn close. So why does the technique work so well? Think of inner monologues as conversational mirrors. When someone sees their own thoughts reflected back to them, it triggers connection. They feel like you understand them and their problems and what they're going through. Validation, their experience is being acknowledged and not just dismissed. And trust, you're not just selling to them, you're relating to them. It's like sitting through a boring lecture, totally zoned out and thinking about your break time coffee, when suddenly the lecturer points at you, slams his ruler on the desk and says, your coffee can wait, Cav. And you think, huh? Now you're wide awake. How did that lecturer know that I was thinking about coffee? How? So, for the rest of that lecture, you are not going to fall asleep again. You're going to be paying attention because he just read your mind. Bit of an extreme example, but the exact same concept. The message didn't just apply to the group. It felt like it was aimed straight at you. And that is the effect that you're aiming for in your copy. So how do you actually do it? How do you predict what someone is thinking? To write powerful inner monologues, you need to feel what your reader is feeling. Not guessing. It's about market research and feeling the empathy, practice, research, really understanding your audience. Market research. So here's how to get good at it. Start with what you already know. You want to write for audiences you understand well, even if that's just you from a few years ago. So example, when I wrote the email a few lessons ago, selling e-cigarettes, I just knew my audience. So I could have put some really good, powerful inner monologues in there. I've also written an email for who I were a few years ago as well, which I'm going to show you in a second, and put some really powerful inner monologues in there because I know exactly what my thought process would have been. And I remember reading similar emails and having those exact thought processes while I was reading those emails. And so I put really powerful inner monologues in there. So when you're practicing, just start with something that you know, even if it's just you. It'll help you get good at it. When you're writing for something you don't know, do your market research, read reviews, lurk in forums, explore comment sections, and pay attention to how your audience talks about their problems. Ask questions. What are their biggest frustrations? What keeps them from taking action? And what have they tried that didn't work? And again, get specific. Think in scenes. Picture their routine. What does their day look like when this problem shows up? Oh, sorry, my back is tweaking. Once you've lived in their shoes for a while, you can start writing copy that reflects their thoughts naturally because they'll already be yours as well. You're not just predicting thoughts, you're validating their feelings. And that is where the power lies. So there's 2 different types. of inner monologues. You've got direct inner monologues and indirect inner monologues. So the two main ways to write them is by literally putting pen to paper what they're thinking, or telling them what they're thinking in your own words. That's the difference between a direct monologue and an indirect inner monologue. Both of them are effective, but they serve slightly different purposes depending on tone, pacing, and how closely you want to mimic the reader's thought process. Good pro tip is to combine both techniques to vary rhythm and deepen impact. A direct hit followed by an indirect softener can be especially effective. So let me actually explain what the difference is to help you understand. So direct inner monologues are literal quotes of what the reader might be thinking in that exact moment. You write their thoughts as if they're saying them inside their head right as they read the previous line. For example, great, another copywriting course, or I've tried this before and it never works, or wait, that actually sounds like me. You're literally putting their thoughts in quotation marks. After, you make a big promise, or you say something that has an impact, or an objection's coming up, something like, you literally put it in quotes and then answer it in the copy. I'll show you how to do it. I know it's hard to visualize. I'll show you how to do it in a second. But you want to use direct monologues when you want to create a sharp, intimate moment, break the fourth wall, and call attention to objections or thoughts that the reader hasn't said out loud. I'm just turning my light on because it's getting a little bit dark. So next is indirect inner monologues. These are your words, but shaped by their thoughts. So instead of quoting their mind, you describe it. You're guiding the thought process, not repeating it. So an example of an indirect monologue, most people reading this have already tried at least 3 different methods. So a direct version would be, I've already tried 3 different types of this method. The indirect, most people have already tried 3 different types. So you're saying it from your perspective. It's easy to feel like you're the only one who still hasn't figured it out. I know this sounds too good to be true, but hear me out. So again, direct monologues is you're literally putting their exact thoughts in quotation marks on the paper. Indirect inner monologues is you describing their thoughts in your own words from your perspective. You want to use indirect inner monologues when you want to maintain a smooth narrative flow, build trust gently without confrontation, and show empathy through understanding. And the number one way, the absolute best way to use inner monologues is to handle objections, by far. Every reader brings their own baggage. They've got hesitations, skepticism, past experiences. You can either ignore those objections and hope for the best, or you can meet them head on and answer those objections. Inner monologues let you anticipate and address those doubts before they become real deal breakers. Let's say you're selling a course on productivity. The reader might be thinking, I've already tried a dozen systems, so what makes this one different? But instead of dodging it, you acknowledge it. You've already tried Pomodoro, bullet journaling, and 5 different planner apps. We get it. You don't need another system. You need something that actually fits your life. Now their walls are down because you beat them to the objection and answered it without getting defensive. So objections are not obstacles, they're opportunities to deepen trust, so use them wisely. So so that's a pretty bad example there. I should have really edited that slightly. But you've already tried Pomodoro, bullet journaling, 5 different planner apps. So that's more describing their problems. That's more agitating the problem, describing what they've already tried, emotional roller coaster. And in a monologue, I'm going to rewrite it just so that it makes more sense, so that you can differentiate the difference between an indirect inner monologue and just describing the problem. All right, so I've just rewritten it so that it actually sounds like an indirect monologue rather than just describing their problem. So this is how you would write it if you were not describing their problem using an indirect inner monologue. You're probably wondering what makes this solution different to the other half a dozen methods you've tried. So there's the direct monologue, there's the indirect version. Does that make sense? Okay. So writing natural and believable in a dialogue. I've lost my train of thought. So writing natural and believable in a dialogue. The best inner monologues don't feel scripted. They feel like real thoughts in real language. So to get them right, you must write how people think, not how they speak. You want to use half sentences, ellipses, or questions to mimic the rhythm of inner thoughts and stay casual. Keep it tight, clear, and slightly rough around the edges like real thinking. Example, sure, this sounds nice, but what if it's just more of the same? Or you've done everything right, yet here you are, still suck. So you're not trying to impress them, you're trying to reflect what they're thinking. So let me just show you an example. It's so much easier if I just break it down and show you what inner monologues look like. So this is mainly direct inner monologues. And I've color-coded them red so that you can read them. And remember, like I mentioned in the market research, it's important that you understand your audience, understand exactly how they talk, and use their exact language in your inner monologues, because the better you can mimic their exact language, the more persuasive the copy is going to be. So subject line, how to pay off your student loan this year. Summer's creeping up. Instead of paying for the holiday you've earned, you're probably staring at your bank account thinking, brilliant. It's not even enough for a train ticket. It's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're not doing anything wrong. It's because credit cards, mortgages, car payments, and student loans have a way of quietly dictating your entire life. So here's something worth considering. I spent most of my early 20s in the exact same position. Juggling debt, juggling jobs, juggling everything except actual peace of mind. And after experimenting with different business models, I landed on one that reliably brings in 10 grand a month with about an hour's work a day. And yes, I can teach it. And now I already know what you're thinking. Another bullshit way to get rich quick, or another bullshit get rich quick bitch. So this was taken off probably about 300 Reddit forums, ads, everything. That exact wording, another bullshit get rich quick bitch. It's all over Instagram. That is exactly how the target audience talks. And so at this point, yes, I can teach it. As soon as you mention teaching something that helps people make money, immediately the audience thinks it's another bullshit get rich quick bitch. And so you have to literally put that word for word on the page. Even if your brand is formal, even if you think that you can't use it and you're scared, no. You have to be raw. It has to be real. You have to directly say what the reader is thinking. You can't replace this for the sake of professionalism with, now I already know what you're thinking. I don't trust courses. No one thinks that, especially not this market. I don't trust courses. No, they think another bullshit get rich quick pitch or whatever. So you mimic their exact thought process. There. You've probably seen 100 of them. Indirect monologue. I've seen 100 of them. But before you mentally close the tab, hear me out. My first student wasn't a trust fund prodigy or some serial entrepreneur. He was just someone who took a chance. 2 weeks later, he made back his initial investment and has now tripled his monthly income and stepped away from the 9-to-5 treadmill. Prove it. Happy to. Insert proof. Fred recovers his full investment within 2 weeks, and now he's earning more than he ever thought he could, doing work that he actually enjoys. Another massive objection. Why would I pay someone on the internet who says he can help me make money? Good question. But let me ask you something. Now let's use some contrast. Why do we unquestioningly hand universities 150 grand for a qualification that often leads to a 3 to 5k month salary and 40 hours a week of clock in, clock out exhaustion? Is it because the qualification guarantees success? Because other people have taken the same path? Or because the system is so old that we assume it's the only credible way to build a future? Whatever your reasoning, just pause for a moment, because the next part matters. The method I teach isn't taught in school, not because it's shady, but because traditional education isn't designed to show you how to earn independently. And if you trust a massive institution enough to pay them 150 grand for a skill you already know won't help you escape the debt anytime soon, why be afraid of a real person who's simply offering to show you the exact process that changes his life? Because you're just trying to take my money. Of course there's a fee. I spent years figuring this out, and the information is valuable. Good education always costs something, whether it's university courses or learning through painful trial and error. But the difference is this. What I teach is practical, applicable, and designed to pay for itself fast. And the price is modest compared to the return it produces for people who take it seriously. What you choose to do next is entirely up to you. If you'd rather keep things exactly as they are, no hard feelings. But if you're ready to step out of the rat race, reduce your debt, and open the door to genuine financial breathing room over the next 30 days, then join Legacy Room today. So those are examples of inner monologues for my specific audience, exactly how they would say them at exactly the right time. Now, usually, like, I've stuck them in everywhere. Like, you don't want to put 4 or 5 different inner monologues in one email unless you're doing an objection handling email, which I'll teach you how to do later on in the email course, if that's the course that you've purchased. Because again, this module is going to be in every course. So you don't really want to be putting 4 or 5 inner monologues in a single email. Sometimes one is just good enough in the right, perfect place, in the right spot, the right time, perfect place, one good inner monologue. But like I say, I've stuck a few in here to help you visualize it. And for your task, I'm going to ask you to do the same as well. So key takeaways: inner monologues make copy feel personal, relatable, and human. When you reflect a reader's thoughts, you build trust and emotional connection. The key to predicting thoughts is empathy, observation, and research. Use inner monologues to acknowledge doubts, validate feelings, and guide the readers forward. Your goal isn't to impress, it's to resonate with people. So your task is to write an email including at least 3 inner monologues. Your objective is to sell a product within the beauty and self-care niche. Use at least one of each inner monologue, direct and indirect. So that's been it for this lesson. Remember, do your market research. Make sure the inner monologues you use are reflections of what your audience literally thinks word for word. Do your market research, look at forums, look at posts, look at social media, look at comments, get it right, and don't be shy about using dodgy language if that's what you have to do, because if that is what your audience is saying, that's what you need to say as well. So see you in the next lesson.